Welcome to the World AI Summit here in Amsterdam. And as an Intel ambassador, I'm invited to watch behind the scenes where we're going to discuss and get insights in AI everywhere. What does it mean? How can your company become successful with the help of AI? But we're going to unveil really groundbreaking concepts from creating LLM agents and comparing them with as easiness as creating your own website, but then creating your own AI agents. But also we're going to discuss how AI can help you to protect you. Any cyber attack, where AI can really help you with different type of ways, where you can start chatting with a machine and where the machines tell how his state is. So we're going to share many different new innovations, and I hope you're going to join me here from the World AI Summit in Amsterdam. So let's go and let's meet the first experts that's going to share with you some insights which are unveiling things that you have not heard before in the domain of AI. Let's go. Let's start to find out how to scale AI across enterprises. Hi, Stephan.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
A beautiful stage here at the World AI Summit where you're speaking later on today.
Yeah.
And you're going to talk about AI everywhere. Can you explain what do you really mean by AI everywhere? What's everywhere?
Yeah. First of all, I'm looking forward to speaking. And AI everywhere, what does that mean? Basically, it's if you translate it to the enterprise, it's will every company be an AI company soon? That's the question, and how do we achieve that?
Yeah.
So from our perspective, as somebody who provides technology to run AI on, right, we have to think about whether we have the right platforms for the right usage scenarios when we want to bring AI everywhere. So not all AI workloads are created equal. That means we need to offer choice on the hardware side. On the software stack side, we need to be open to enable that.
Yeah, you said loads are not everywhere the same. Can you give some examples of that?
Yeah, sure. If you are very much an AI company and you have your own AI model, which is behind the AI functionality you want to provide, you have to train that model, which is a very compute-intensive and data-intensive task. So that task is very well solved by using specialized hardware, so-called AI accelerators, like for instance Intel Gaudi is, to run those workloads very efficiently. Specific hardware. Now, if you're more on the user side, you probably have a lot of workloads, not just AI workloads. They will be more over time, but it's a mix of workloads, normal workloads, AI workloads. So that usage scenario, we are thinking of basically, or we are providing hardware which can run both workloads, normal workloads, as well as AI workloads in the same fashion. So one choice to do that is to use CPUs, for instance, in a data center. We just launched Xeon 6, which is used for both workloads, or for all workloads, AI workloads or normal workloads, but we enable this CPU with specific technology in the CPU to also run AI workloads very fast and very efficient. But the trick here is really to have a platform which is more universal, and therefore you also get better efficiency out of the platform because you can use it variably and flexibly for a lot of workloads, including also very well AI workloads.
Yeah, we're talking about AI everywhere. On one hand, you're using software from a specific vendor already. They embed AI, so they're going to provide you with AI solutions. On the other hand, you have maybe tons of data in an enterprise where you start building your own data pipelines and your own algorithms. So how does this work? What's the difference for an organization with regards to workloads and how to solve this?
Yeah, definitely. Let me give you an example. A lot of enterprises are confronted with a problem that they say, okay, I want to use AI. I want to embed it into my workflows, basically. And they go through different phases to do that. Usually that starts with a more personalized use within the enterprise. People are using chatbots or other things to solve their problems. And then you can go through different stages more like using AI on what a department does for the complete workflow or for the complete workflow of your enterprise. Now, from a technical perspective, the problem is really to say, look, I have my own data set, like you said, and then there's AI models like just large language models, for instance. How do I bring that together? How do I actually make sure that my data is taken into account when I have this intelligence all of a sudden? So there's a nice technology which we call Retrieval-Augmented generation, where you basically use that database without a need to retrain your AI model. With that, you can be much more flexible because the data can change every second basically and still taken into account, and I don't need to do retraining, which is more costly as well. So that technology is very promising. And what we are also doing, including that technology, we're working together with the ecosystem. So there's a new thing which is done in the Linux Foundation, which we call OPEA, and that is basically an effort to bring kind of standard models and a standard way to do things together, which then enterprises can choose from to make things easier. Because a lot of enterprises, they ask themselves, how do I do it? I want to use AI, I know a little bit about it, I know the functionality, but how do I actually implement it? Which building blocks can I take both on the hardware as well as on the software side? And this is what we like and want to help.
Yeah, and you have many colleagues over here at the AI World Summit, and I'm going to discuss with them from the AI PC, whether you use it maybe in security and how you work with partners in the ecosystem. I'm going further with my tour. I'm going to meet all of your colleagues who are going to share all the new exciting innovations as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, and good luck on stage later on.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Bye. Let's continue and discover how to collaborate with the partner ecosystem. Hey Maurits.
Hey Arnout.
How are you?
Good.
Long time no see.
Long time no see.
Yeah, it's a year and a half when we were in Ireland.
Yes, I remember.
We're back here at the World AI Summit. AI. Organizations want to be successful with AI, but there's certain conditions, certain pillars to be successful. You have a lot of experience in this. How do you make AI successful within it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So obviously, as Intel, we are a key ingredient. Building silicon, building key components to enable the AI ecosystem, AI everywhere. And it's almost like looking traditionally back to when the PC era started. You had the CPU, and we had to partner with motherboard vendors and many other ecosystem players to drive the ability to provide PCs across the globe, meeting with as many partners as we could to allow that to flourish. Yeah. With AI, it's kind of the same, but it's much more complex. So if you look at the ecosystem we work with today, it's not only about the system builders who are, say, taking a piece of silicon and building an AI PC or building an AI solution for a data center. Software is essential, operating system is essential. We want to provide an open architecture so we can, and we want to enable as many partners as possible. So if you look now, you are looking at hardware components, hardware building blocks, OS providers like the Red Hat, the Microsoft of this world, and then the ISVs who are building these applications. So it's a very complex, ecosystem. And then you are working today with the GSIs like Accenture as an example, ISVs like Coronaco, which are basically essential to provide those solutions and implement them for the customer. So the ecosystem is super important. So we have actually also a program developed, which is called the Intel Partner Alliance, to allow all these partners to connect with each other and get the most relevant information from us and help them with the matchmaking.
And for an enterprise, what does it mean? Because if you need to collect all these partners together, it's quite a complex type of approach. So how do you help them to make it easier?
Yeah, so with some of the enterprise accounts, we have a direct relationship, but in many cases, we're working with a GSI. Yeah. So a global system integrator, where we will enable them with providing them the key building blocks to allow the enterprise to have a fully transparent, optimized solution to be implemented for them.
And any examples? Because AI is everywhere. I discussed with Stephan. Can you give an example how an enterprise starts implementing maybe step-by-step AI everywhere in the organization?
Oh, I think what is interesting now, I think most of the conversations around AI implementation, lots of proof of concepts are taking place. If you look at the workspace, we came out with our AI PC last December. We just announced the next generation of AI PC, and becomes very apparent that if you are looking at what are we doing today in our communication day to day on a PC, to keep it pretty simple, on Teams we got the noise background, we got the blur, we got all that stuff. It all takes a lot of performance capabilities away. Lots of AI applications within Microsoft and others is to do the filtering and making sure that the communication is as clear and crisp as possible while keeping the PC up and running and have the best performance. You look at those simple examples today and going forward, making sure it's all secure. That's a great example of what AI will do. And I think if we look at the explosion of AI application and developments and use cases, it's not hard to imagine on what is required to feed that system going forward. So I think we're very well positioned and super excited about the possibilities of AI and what we're doing.
Excited about all the possibilities indeed, and I'm going to watch some more new innovations here at the World AI Summit. Thank you, Maurits.
Thank you so much, Arnout.
And see you next time.
See you next time.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Let's discover innovations in AI in automotive manufacturing. Hi Arnout, how are you?
Hi. Nice to meet you.
You're Dutch, I'm Dutch.
Yes.
This is the normal Dutch length. I'm a little bit shorter. But both Dutch, but there's a big difference in length. I was just talking with Maurits. He was talking about the importance of the ecosystem and having partners and delivering solutions with partners.
Yeah.
Can you share what you do and give maybe an example from a solution that you developed together?
Yeah, I'm Arnout. I'm working at a team at Accenture, mainly focusing on data and AI. So a customer comes at our place with a large amount of data and says, okay, what can I do with this data and what are the solutions for this? Yeah. So my colleagues will start looking into the data and seeing what's possible and cleaning up the data and such. And then they come to me because I'm part of the implementation team to see, okay, what can we do? What are the AI solutions in this case? And to see, okay, what can we provide for the customer further than just only looking at the data and providing how do we call it? A solution in their case that they can continue on from, but actually providing the whole application itself.
And you worked a lot in the manufacturing, automotive manufacturing area. Can you explain how did you approach it? What kind of steps did you take?
Mainly we're working in the automotive industry, and because we're working in the automotive industry and my team is based in Germany, so they have close ties to the automotive industry. Let's see. The case, at least the cases we are showing here at this point right now, is we have this nice V-shaped model, which is normal when presenting or creating and developing cars. On the left side, we have this very nice design phase of creating a car, and on the bottom, the implementation. On the right side, we have the actual testing of the car. And then for this, we've given, together with Intel, we've shown a couple of AI solutions for the automotive industry.
And if you look to automotive manufacturers, one of the great cases is a digital twin, where you have your whole factory, even sometimes before you build the factory, already virtual, and you can test run it. Yeah. Can you explain a little bit more how you use that and how that's really helping clients to use such a digital twin and how it's moving forward?
Yeah, for example, we have this application right over here, which you can talk with the machines, which actually make it so that the sensors, which are having a problem or parts which having a problem, come up, and that you can talk to the machine and don't necessarily have to have an in-depth understanding of what's happening, but can talk to the machine and ask questions about this specific problem to see what are the solutions, what are we looking at, and what could be the problem. And also, for example, just the basic status. Okay, which parts are defective, which are still running, have a nice throughput in this regard.
And talking to the machine, then you're talking having an LLM, large language model, where you have all the data. So you have your virtual machine, your digital twin, and you can start asking questions in natural language queries. From, okay, Is there an outage coming? Do we need any repair, or can you give some examples how that works?
Yeah, for example, you have this nice chatbot on the side, and you just ask, okay, what's the current status of the machine? And then it will list of the current status of the machine. So you can ask, okay, which ones of these are defective? Then it will list the ones which are defective. And if you say, okay, this one I'm actually responsible for this machine, I can ask about this machine specifically, okay, what's defective about this machine, and can you provide a possible solution already, or an indication of how much this perhaps could cost to replace this part.
And does that change the requirements for the machine operator? Because if you can talk in a normal language, I can imagine it's totally different than when you say, hey, you have the manual, go through every procedure and every check.
Yeah.
Is there a difference? Is there something that you noticed?
Yeah, you do enable a lot of people to also start to understand what's happening. Like if you talk to somebody who's not necessarily has a technical background, it starts to become a bit more difficult what's happening, and a robot is quite a complex part of machinery. But then having a chatbot, having an assistant at which you can ask perhaps your dumb questions even, but just so you have a bit of feedback and can enable your understanding about the machine does help a lot.
And this is something that's not only in the automotive manufacturing industry, it's basically with every machine, every operation, you can start talking to any device in natural language, and the device can talk back and say, hey, I'm fine today, and nothing is going to happen the coming 24 hours.
Well, let's hope that this is the case, of course.
But that's basically how the interface changes from having this manual, which can be quite complex, where you need a lot of knowledge, where now it's going to more natural.
Just enabling with, for example, these RAG approaches, enabling to have, don't have to understand the full technical manual, but to be able to get parts of this technical manual back and not having to read through it, understand everything, know where to look for it. That this is a great example.
Great innovation and making life easier for many engineers.
Yeah, for sure.
Arnout, thanks a lot.
No problem.
I'm going to the next booth because there's many more real innovations in the domain of AI.
For
Show it
sure.
over here. Thanks.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thanks.
Next, we will discuss how to simplify machine learning adoption with open source.
Hi, Andreea.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Very well. I have a whole tour over here. I've seen a lot of innovations already. Innovations from AI everywhere, where we're showing how to manage it with partners, how to operate it in the manufacturing, the car manufacturing space. But you have also your audience and the clients and the developers and the data scientists you're talking to. They want to implement machine learning and AI models. What are the typical type of questions that you get if they want to get up and running quickly? What are their biggest challenges?
I'll start with the biggest challenge that I hear on the market, that everyone wants to do machine learning, but they don't know how to choose their use case. Like there are tons of opportunities, how do you choose the right one? And that's when often organizations, developers even feel overwhelmed. But then the next challenge is, how do you identify the tooling? If you look at the CNCF tooling landscape, it's just way too many logos, and there's a new one coming in every day. And the costs can be a bit high, also if you just want to go for proprietary tooling. So one challenge that for sure it is there is choose your tooling, and also do not invest a lot early on when you get started. And that's where we help. If you think of Canonical and Ubuntu, especially, open source is in our DNA. We've been pioneering with it and providing open source software and then security on top of it for ML tooling. It's what we're focusing on.
And do you guide them with some frameworks or some blueprints? What kind of steps do you help them take them step by step? Can you share an example?
Sure, of course. I'll take it step by step, or I'll take your question, I'll break it down.
Okay.
On one hand, we lower the barrier entry. There are tons of jokes on the market on how much time data scientists spend setting up their environment. And we just cut it down in 3 commands on Ubuntu. You can get started with ML and you can start building models. But then together with Opia, for example, which is Open Platform Enterprise AI, we are working on enabling blueprints for different use cases such as RAG or Retrieval-Augmented Generation with fully open source tooling. So they can get started, they can experiment quickly without worrying too much on the tooling underneath, I would say.
Thanks for sharing, and I'm going to continue my booth tour.
Well, enjoy the tour, and I'm looking forward to see what you're finding out.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Now, how does AI help cybersecurity to detect deep fakes? Let's find out.
Hi, David.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We've seen some great innovations already. AI everywhere, and we see already now Gen AI everywhere, LLMs. Many people use it, but they use cloud applications. But many people have sensitive data, and they probably don't want to share it with the open source LLMs or with the open LLMs. So what kind of innovations do we see in the market right now where you can use your own sensitive data on your PC?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have what's called the AI PC.
Yeah.
And basically, we are able to run a lot of those models locally on the systems themselves. So you can run an LLM with a RAG. In this case, we have one from iterate.ai. It's called Generate. And they created an application where you can use 8 billion parameter model like Llama 3 so that you can run it locally without being connected to the internet. So that you can actually have that confidential information and sensitive information residing on your system and not out onto the web.
But you need a lot of compute for that.
No, actually, you don't actually for it, because it is able to handle that computational process for the AI. It has what is known as the NPU, which is the neural processing unit, as well. But there's CPU is also very capable of running those AI solutions.
With the AI accelerator.
Well, it accelerates with the CPU as well as its onboard GPU.
And AI is used by cyber criminals, but AI is also used for, let's say, the protection of your PC or the protection of your data center. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. You can use AI to help secure your PC. One way is to help guard against phishing attacks or scams that come in through a network. And there's a company called Bufferzone, and their solution is that they create containers for your browser, so that you could be going off and browsing some site. If you were to click on something and it's malicious, it takes down your system. It won't take down your entire system. It'll take down the container, and all you have to do is wipe the container. But what really is great was with the AI, it's able to go and let you know if it thinks that it's a phishing attack or scam. And it's using advanced AI to understand. It's trained on a lot of the popular AI, popular websites out there right now. So it knows what a legitimate site looks like. So it can actually tell you if it thinks that site is malicious or not.
Okay, and you have some more examples because I like it, AI to protect yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely. Protecting yourself. I mean, identity is a huge issue, and then we're kind of live in an age of misinformation, right? How can you detect like something that's been faked or deep fake is a lot of the term that a lot of people use today. And you probably heard it on the news that there's people that are imitating other people using AI. Well, we're using AI to combat that as well, and we have things called deepfake detectors. One is from our partner, McAfee, and they create a consumer version that actually helps detect AI audio, like something that is artificially created.
Right.
It can, and it's so like a lot of it's really sounds realistic, and it's hard for the human to tell. But the AI can determine if another AI has created something.
Then we have AI for the good and AI for the bad. We use AI, for example, to create environments, being in another retail environment to tell a retail story. Maybe sometimes I have my digital avatar already who's telling something. How does a system detect it? Or it's just indicating this is AI generated and it can't distinct both the good and the bad?
That's actually describing more of an enterprise level solution.
Correct.
Where it's you will need deepfake running in the cloud, or actually they have some solutions that run on the clients as well. But Intel has a lot of research around how do you use things that are identified as human, such as micro actions in your face. So if like everybody has in their face micro actions, it's like your blood vessels running under your skin causes actions in your face as well as color changes. And artificial intelligence can't mimic that in a human way. So with Intel research, they actually will have a deepfake detector as a service that companies can use to help detect deepfakes.
Very interesting. David, thanks a lot. Great innovations. I'm going to the next booth for the next one.
Sounds great.
Thanks.
Now let's discover an open ecosystem for AI agents.
Hi Arun, how are you?
Very good. How are you, Roland?
I'm very well. I'm very excited to watch your session where you're going to unveil, I think, a unique view about LLMs and agents. And I hope you want to share it with our audience as well, what you're going to tell on stage in, I think, in half an hour's time. Can you tell me more about this LLMs, what you're doing at Deutsche Telekom, and how you approach this, which is, I think, a new, unique approach?
Great. So essentially what I'm going to talk about is how we're deploying AI agents to solve customer sales and service use cases across our Deutsche Telekom's footprint in Europe. We started this journey to bet on AI agents as a fundamental construct to build those capabilities, which is powered underneath by LLMs, and started to build a platform which we refer to as LMOS, which stands for Language Models Operating System, which allows us accelerated deployment of AI agents to solve use cases. That's what I will be talking about.
But you do it in a different way. As Deutsche Telekom, you're going to open it up. Can you explain more about that one?
Yeah, indeed. Absolutely. So I'll have to talk a little bit about the journey that we undertook to understand why we are opening it up. So we started this journey a year back to build customer sales and service use cases. Back then, LLMs, RAG was all the hype back then. How do you build applications, right? But in order to solve customer service use cases for 10 countries with 10 different languages and n number of business units, the rudimentary approaches, it was pretty clear it won't scale. So we started looking at LLMs as a new set of microprocessors. Just like how microprocessors were there, then operating systems came, internet came, cloud computing came, mobile apps came. What if we move LLMs as a new microprocessor, which allows us a different way of thinking? If you build a new operating system, a new computing platform, it allows the democratization of building applications. So this was the principal view which drove us to build this as a platform. But also we brought in a couple of great people who were principled to think about what will it be 5 years from now, where the utility value of LLMs, where will the applications be? How do you create an open ecosystem like the internet as against the app stores of the world? So this drove some of the design principles of LMOS to have multiple agents. They can interact. No monopoly can control. You can bring your own agents. It forms a system. It's just like the hive mind in Star Trek. You can bring your own cyborgs.
Yeah, and I like the analogy with, on one hand, the App Store or the internet, the website. So can you explain this analogy? How does it work? Can people build their own website and LLMs? Can you compare it like that, or how would it work?
Exactly. So the fundamental idea is, let's say if you're an app developer today, tomorrow's apps most likely will be agents, which is going to do things on your behalf, and you just provide the intent. Would there be closed platforms where these agents are built? Or should we do something today to enable these app developers, agent builders to have an open ecosystem? So if you take Deutsche Telekom with 10 countries and n number of departments, this is a minuscule view of that world. Because we wouldn't want to have a team which is going to build applications for all these departments. We would want individual departments to build their own applications. They might be able to choose their own LLMs. So it allows that view of, if you're an agent developer, and if you don't like the ecosystem in which it lives, you move it out of the ecosystem from one to the other without your user getting affected. You cannot be canceled, or you cannot be controlled with additional charges or so. So you need to come up with the specifications, just like internet, and just like the specifications of Web of Things, for example. And this is what we are attempting at this point.
I think a bold statement, bold move, and a bold journey. But I'm really curious to follow you very closely, to follow Deutsche Telekom very closely. And how are you working together, like, let's say, with an open system? So you work together with Intel as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Essentially, the development of LMOS has been a grassroots movement. Like I said, there was no initiative which anybody planned. It was just when we started to build it, I wanted to bring some of the open source contributors. There's a lot of great people in our team. incredible contributors to the Web of Things ecosystem. We started to build this. And we also came up with the manifesto, which is we would want to align closer to whomsoever is believing in these principles. So one thing is pretty clear. Open ecosystems allow thriving of innovation. So, for example, to build LLM applications, you would need the hardware layer, inference layer, training, then the applications layer. It's n number of lanes. How do you bring openness in all these layers?
Yeah.
So this is where I think also Intel's One API is an interesting project. I see the need for in the future. Definitely, there is a need for agents to run everywhere, including the sanctity of your homes, which would require you to have edge devices running models. You should be able to. You should not result in a fragmented ecosystem. So this is where initiatives like One API can really help, and we are happy to be in touch with Intel, and of course GT has been a great partner. Intel has been a great partner with GT on this.
Yeah, very interesting. I'm going to follow your journey, and we're for sure going to see each other again in the coming 5 years, and I'm going to share it with my audience.
That's what even my team is aspiring to do.
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
Thanks, and I'm going to the next booth.
All right, thanks a lot, Ronald. It's been a pleasure.
Unfortunately, now it's time to wrap up.
I hope you enjoyed it as well, as much as I did. It was a great booth tour. I want to thank Intel as an Intel ambassador for giving the insights with the Intel partners to all these great innovations. I hope you learned something where you can better and more successfully implement AI everywhere in your organization. You can't do it alone. You need to do it with partners. They start now here the next keynote, but I hope you enjoyed having the insights. AI everywhere in your organization. Do it with partners. Don't do it alone. But also think about new type of applications, whether it's using the LLMs in your organization. Do it either on your laptop with secure information, or protect yourself better with the help of AI, or create new applications as a data scientist where you can chat with your application and get support with AI agents, but also other examples where you can start chatting with your machines. Could you imagine that this was even possible with AI? I couldn't 5 years ago. So enjoy this session, and I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you next time. And thanks for all the partners for sharing their insights, and thanks to Intel. Thanks, bye-bye.